Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hey everybody, it's Jahmade back again with Opus Gaming, and I'm here today to bring you some playtesting between me and my friend Jeremy. This is me Battle Spirit Saga playtesting. This is me the first time that we're bringing this game to the channel in person, so I'm really excited for this. We were both able to go to the Vegas launch event and get some cards. So this is going to be me on the TerraNova deck that topped Las Vegas with just like a few edits and some changes for a little bit more updated for the meta, and Jeremy on Omni control. So this is going to be both of us kind of on decks that we are just kind of building and testing and just kind of seeing how they run. So we'll see how this matchup is. I think it's really interesting. So here, just kind of getting into it, looks like we're both drawing out our hands, and it looks like I'm definitely going to be keeping mine. Jeremy's deciding on if he wants to. Yep, he kept his as well. And it looks like I'm going second. I really do like going second in game one. It lets me see what my opponent's doing. It really lets me either decide if I'm going to make like how optimal my turn one can really be. So here we core up on the second player side, draw for turn, and we have 5 cores. We're going to pay 4 for a Scorched Battlefield. We're able to do this because we know we're not playing against like an aggro white deck. His deck, not just because we know that he's playing Omni control, but because he played out the Nexus, the 4-cost Nexus that is really geared towards only playing the bigger white control cards. That means that we're just going to be able to slam down Scorched Battlefield, slam down the Overraptidon, swing for 1 damage, and pass turn for our first turn pretty safely here. So bouncing back over to the Omni control player side, he is on, it looks like 6 cores, and just kind of deciding what he wants to do for his turn. We're going to see Terrasaur come down pretty early in this game here. We're going to see how we deal with it. This card is very good into the Terrasaur matchup, though. Kind of just when we were talking about it beforehand, this is one of the cards that you don't want to see as much. So he's going to actually opt to swing life here. This is pretty early for a control deck to start swinging, in my opinion. But going over to back over to my side, the Terrasaur side, I actually forget to core up on this turn. So I'm down 1 core on this curve here, which is unfortunate. But here we attempt to Volcanic Break, and this is actually just incorrect. You can't Volcanic Break because he has armor, so we take that back right away. But another way that you can play around the Terrasaur with going up to 7k is you just put enough cores on your guy to just not have it blocked. So we go up to 3 cores on that, and then just kind of deciding on what we want to do with the rest of our turn. I think one thing that's important is setting up for the following turn. So we do want to get some more reduction crystals onto the board and somewhat protect ourselves in case our opponent does kind of want to flood the board with some aggro cards. So playing a card for that is fully reduced right now would be pretty good, but we'll see what we do. And actually, yeah, no, we would have to play something and just leave it standing. Yep. So we throw down Overraptidon. We leave it standing because we don't want it to get blocked by Terrasaur, but we swing with the one with 3 cores on it and we get the draw. So we pass turn here. That feels like a really solid play because on our next turn, if our opponent doesn't spend a lot of cores to remove parts of our board, we're going to be in a pretty good position here. So he cores up, draws up, and just kind of decides on what he wants to do for the turn here. He has a Nexus and playing a Terrasaur, so right now he's on 2 reduction, which isn't a lot because lots of his cards cost more, but he does have the Nexus that makes it so if he were to play like an elephant right now, it would be additionally reduced. So deciding on what to play for the Omni control player side. Here I do have the blocker as well. I think that on the when you're playing like a more control based list in general, in this type of situation, you definitely don't want to be attacking because you're just giving me more fuel to aggress onto you. You want to make me have to kind of fight for resources, and you're just kind of incrementally just going up. So here what we decide to do is play down the Nexus that will get him all of his cores back. So I'm assuming he has like a suppression or something in hand so that he can fully defend himself on the next turn. That would make the most sense to me. But we will see. What Terrasaur, I don't think you attack here. I think you just pass here. I think that's definitely correct. But we'll see what happens. Yep. So you see the pass here, and it goes back over to the red Terrasaur side. Core up and draw. That was definitely correct there, not to swing. But here you do have the blocker, but we're going to see how easy we are able to deal with this. It does have armor, so we can't just pop it, but We see some funny math come down here. I forgot that I have something, but we do try to pay 3 for Jahmade Rex because it's reduced by 5 right now. Each of the Overraptidons costs 3, or reduced by 2. But what we'll do instead is we realize that we have Bearded Eagle with three cards on board, so we'll bring Bearded Eagle down for free, and that way we can reduce Jahmade Rex by 6, and he can only cost 2, so then we pay the 2. Yep. We just pay off Scorch Battlefield. It doesn't really matter because we're just kind of hitting awkward thresholds here. But with all of our cards being Emperor Beasts and Terrasaurs, when we swing, we boost everything on our board by 3k. So that means that I think the rest of our cards, we're going over the math right now, and it looks like everything's like, I think it's like 424, something like that for Scorch Battlefield, but with the plus 3k boost, it brings everything up to 757, and that's a big deal because his Pege Scion is only 6k, or is only 7k, so if I were to attack into it and force him to block, he can block the 2 7ks, but it would force him to trade, and I can push through damage. So here we see the Dream Bomb come down. That's going to bounce to Jahmade Rex, which is fine. He's going to be a reduced cost card anyway, and his boost is already live on board, so it won't reduce his attack, the attack of any of the other cards. So kind of just thinking about how I want to aggress here. We were just going over the power threshold, so I want to see if I can force him into a situation to block. So we attack with the 7 here, force him into a situation where he kind of just has to take it. He won't be able to burn. It'll cost him too many resources is what I'm trying to say, to get out of the attack. So second 7k here, and this is where you definitely don't block, because if you block this attack, the small guy can get through, and you need your Floodgate to stop some sort of attack. So you're for sure taking 2 damage this turn, so you just kind of have to take it. You don't want to trade bodies here. You just kind of want to, because then you just lose your only reduction crystal and your only form of defense for the next turn. And floodgating out how many attacks your opponent can do is kind of good enough. Sacrificing the body here just isn't really worth it. But here we see him opt to do it, and I don't know if that's correct, but it's just we're just learning and testing. But it's just one of those things where in the moment it probably feels better than it kind of does when you're looking back at it. So that's one of the good things about being able to just like test before bigger events and learn more about the game in this process. And then we do push in damage with the last card here. So we're going full out, not leaving any defenses for ourselves except for anything we have in hand. But we're feeling like our opponent doesn't have enough cards in hand to go for game. So here we see him slam down a tech that was it was a proxy, but I had my fully built purple deck with me too. So it's gonna be Curse Dragon coming down, removing 1 core from everything else on board, and then when it attacks, it removes all but 1 core. But it's going to be a pretty expensive card, but he does have at the beginning of his attack step refresh with his Nexus, so he's totally fine to be slamming down these big creatures. We're going to follow that up with Angelic Pressure, dropping our Cursed Dragon down all the way from 9k down to like 4k or something like that. So puts us in a really bad position, or puts him in a really bad position because he has a really weak blocker. So we're going to start our turn out. I believe that's the last thing he's gonna do. He definitely does not attack here because he's so low on life. So here we core draw, and we get a little bit confused on what we can do here. So we're gonna set a burst and pay 2 for Tyrannoid, and this is where I start to do too much. So I pay 2. I think I try to play out a Nexus because I don't have another creature in hand. So I'm trying to just set myself up so I can take some damage and get some draws on my next turn. But then I realize, and we take it all back here because we realize that I just have Volcanic Break from earlier, and we just Volcanic Break the dragon and you push for game here. So there we go. Yep, and that's gonna wrap up. So that's gonna kill the Cursed Dragon, and I'm just able to attack in for game after that. So that one I feel like was pretty textbook. One thing about it, like I was mentioning earlier though, we're just like learning and testing these decks. There are some proxies I think in some of these decks as well. Yeah, just the ones that we saw. But we are just kind of learning and doing a lot of testing. So if you guys are seeing like not optimal lines of play, or if you guys have any like like just suggestions or comments or anything, leave them down below, because we are just trying to like learn and grow a little bit. So just anything that you guys see, any like beginner mistakes or anything that you guys kind of pick up on. So getting into game 2 here, it looks like we are looking at mulligan and keeping our first hand. A lot of times, just in a lot of games in general, I won't mulligan my hands. I know that Alex said that he doesn't do that with this deck, or the guy that top 8 that got that was on Eggman's channel. I know that he says that he doesn't mulligan very many hands, and I totally agree with that. For Seagworm, I wasn't mulliganing too much, but it ended up costing me something. So it's more so a skill that you have to learn, I guess. So here we're thinking about swinging, and I'm not sure on the control side if that's really something that you want to do. He gets the draw, or no, you don't get the draw because he doesn't have enough cores quite yet. Only 2 cores, so he's not level 3. Here it gives me extra cores to just kind of aggress onto him. As you can see here, it makes me a little bit stronger, so I can't get volcanic braked, or what's the other one? Burning Forest. That's the more important one, that he can't just hit both my units right here. But we swing for the draw. That's the most important thing. We just kind of core up our units, put the core onto our volcanic break, and then we're just pushing in for 2 more draws. That way, no matter what our opponent does, those cards kind of replace themselves. So he can remove both of them with the Burning Forest next turn, and I'm not too worried about it because I have 2 fresh cards in my hand that I can slam down and still keep the aggression tempo onto my opponent. Here, I think this is the turn that we have a play that comes down right away. Yeah, this is the Burning Force turn. And we have a long discussion. I think that he's Burning Forcing my Scorched Battlefield and then is going to defend out against my other creatures I have on board, just to kind of get my reduction crystals down. And he ends up going for the 2 bodies. I think it's kind of just more worth it going for the Scorched Battlefield, or at least that's what I thought. But it does make a lot of sense to kind of limit what I can do for bodies wise. But here I also would just, what I would think to do would be play Burning Force, pop the Nexus, and leave my body standing and put another body on board. But if he's unable to do that, I can see where it's rough. But attacking here is kind of really rough too, because just gives me the opportunity to play more creatures, especially the free ones. So core draw, just really getting a lot of fuel to be able to kind of go in here. We'll see if I have enough creatures. I have to have 3 exactly, but we start off by paying 1 for the Draco Guard, and then paying 2, or no, yeah, just paying 1 for the big guy. I don't even remember his name. I've only played this deck like 2 times. And then here it's a lot of deliberation. I have a 3rd creature in hand, but it would cost me my Scorched Battlefield, so I'm not sure if there's anything that I need to dig for, or if my opponent's gonna like Ice Shield or anything like that. I don't know where he doesn't have enough cores though. Only 2 cores on his creature. You have to take 2 damage and then have a blocker, so actually he just can't do that. So yeah, definitely the play here would be going in, but I'm just thinking it over. I think I might think that he has 1 core more than he does, thinking that he would be able to Ice Shield the 2nd hit. But yep, here we just slam down the free to play 3 reduction guy that kills the Nexus, and then Jeremy just scoops. He does have an Ice Shield here, so he didn't need to scoop. But the thing with the Ice Shield was that he could have survived all 3 hits, but he's just said it was pointless because his hand, he wasn't going to get where he needs to go ultimately with his hand. So that's going to be a little bit of the control matchup into the Terrasaur aggro matchup. I think some of the things, just kind of looking back for control into Terrasaurs or into aggro in general in this game, is that you do have to play a little bit more reserved, kind of taking turns, even though it does feel bad not attacking and reducing your opponent's life. I think taking a couple turns to like kind of set up a blocking field and get some more board presence and board control on your opponent is really good. So those are some of the things that I think I learned, at least from just going through this video really quick. But I do like Terrasaur in the meta a lot. It's very aggressive and very strong, and I can't wait to see what it does. So this is me, Jahmade with Opus Gaming, and I'm out. Thanks guys.